It's hot in Phoenix, isn't it?
That's what they say. Unusually hot for this time of year. We know this kind of heat, though.
I know. Last year it felt unusually oppressive, but I think it was all the, just everything that was going on that I talk about constantly.
COVID. You just can't stop talking about COVID.
I can't stop talking about. I'm still coming out of it. I'm still coming out. But I have a nice story about my next adventure to Costco. But long story short, I mean, it is like the elephant in the room, and it is hotter than I care to deal with. And every year I think, how many years am I going to live here through this? And then it turns into November, and I'm so happy to be here. And
the winters are nice.
Yeah, but I just wanted to acknowledge that elephant because it troubles me. And I was driving over here, and I don't know, it was like driving on the coast through fog. I'm not sure what I was breathing, but the air inversion or whatever's happening is horrible.
The temperature inversion? Yeah, they say there's a big high pressure system that is clobbering us at the moment. But everyone's talking about California. No one wants to talk about poor old Arizona. Of course, I guess California is running out of water, so I guess it's a little more important over there.
I hope we don't.
I've heard rumors of an aquifer below Phoenix.
Yeah, I've heard that we'll be okay.
So if the Colorado runs dry or someone steals it from us, we can tap into that aquifer and have 100 years of water. Or you can water your lawn for a week. I
have no lawn to water, but I'm trying to do my part.
Having a lawn in Phoenix is just dumb.
It is dumb.
I'm sure I'm going to offend a bunch of people by saying that, but why? That's not the landscape you moved into.
No, it's not the Midwest.
Why is grass so great?
Well, grass isn't great, and it's just a lot of maintenance.
It can be very nice, but only if you have the water for it. I don't know why people want to change their environment so drastically. They want to make it like someplace in New York or I don't know where. They want to make it some other place. You live in Phoenix now. Embrace it.
Exactly. Just
don't dump a bunch of gravel on your front yard either. Think about it. Think about it for 5 minutes. Is that too much to ask?
It's just hot, and I angst every year for no reason, and
No, I think you just explained why. It's the heat. The heat gets to you.
Mm-hmm. It does.
It gets to me too. I mean, I try to go riding every weekend, and this weekend, the low for Sunday is going to be 91 degrees. So at 4 a.m. it's going to be 91 degrees.
Right.
So by the time I get out, and I usually go for a 3-hour ride, it's going to be probably 100 degrees, which I can deal with, but it's a little bit hot.
It's a little bit hot. It's like
so I may skip the ride this weekend.
I would.
Well, don't encourage me.
I would skip the ride any day, but this weekend for sure. For sure. But no, it's almost like I experience seasonal affective disorder during the summer. Even though
but that's
sunny.
Based on lack of sun.
I know, but it's the inversion. It's kind of like the upside down in Stranger Things.
Yeah.
It's like, it's my version.
Do you watch that show?
I did.
That's a little bit surprising to me. It's not Korean.
Oh, speaking of Korean,
oh
I
my
have a
God.
story.
Why did I say Korean?
You opened the door, man. You opened the door.
I know, it's my fault.
Well, everyone knows that I went to Costco, and I went by myself this week.
Maybe we should broadcast from Costco.
I think we could. I'll call them.
We just go in the back. There's one little space back by the beverages that is pretty quiet.
Right. I wonder if they'd let us do that.
Oh, we're supposed to ask for permission?
Well, I would think. I don't know. I'll follow up on that.
No, what is it? We'd be the Renegade, the underground podcast.
The underground?
Sneaking around.
Yeah, from behind the toilet paper.
Yeah, what do they call that with the radio stations that were illegal radio stations? So there's a term for that.
I don't know.
Pirate radio stations? We can do the pirate podcast.
Oh, we could, and just set up real quick, behind.
Or just walk around. Do it walking around.
So get kicked out.
We could actually just plug. My fancy microphone has a USB connection, so USB-C connection. I can plug that directly into my phone and record on my phone.
That'd be so awesome.
So we could just walk around, holding our microphones and recording on our phones.
Oh, I think we should try it.
Microphone. That's just took on a whole different meaning for me.
I think we should do it.
I think that's crazy. It's one thing to talk about it like this, but don't actually do it.
Why?
You are crazy. Catherine, the difference between you and me is that I have these crazy ideas, but I don't do them because I know that they're crazy. You seem to not have that wall. You have your ideas, and then you just do them.
I know my filter's very low. It used to be higher. I guess
and
the
Steve
older
Jobs,
you get.
you're just crazy.
I know. If only I made his money. But anyway, I went to Costco by myself, and then afterwards I thought, I don't have anything really that needs to chill out that much, so I'm going to run in really quick to Seoul Market, my absolutely favorite Korean grocery store. I've shopped there for years. And during the pandemic, of course, I didn't go out of my house for a year. And so I put my mask on because like people were walking out wearing masks, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And I was just so happy to be back. And the guy, I don't know if he knows me, but the women know me because I would ask them questions like, how do you make jjajangmyeon? What do I need for blah, blah, blah? I tried to make my own kimchi. It's a long story.
What is blah, blah, blah exactly? I don't know that one. Is
that
like
this
a chicken
Korean
based?
like side dish.
Okay.
But anyway, I walked in and they have like this little area where they cook, and it's right off the section with the kimchi. And one of the women walked around and she was holding these pancakes that she makes, which are lovely. And she saw me. And her eyes got kind of teary. I mean, she got a little emotional and she said, oh my gosh. And she wasn't going to go in for a hug or anything. That would have been weird. But she said, I have thought of you a lot over the past year.
Really?
And I wondered if you were okay. Huh. And she goes, how's your dad? Because my dad would go in there and she'd give him like little cookies. She goes, how's dad? So he's doing well. Thanks for asking. And it was this poignant, really beautiful interaction. And she said, and every time I made these pancakes for the last year, I've thought of you. And I've wished you well. And I was so moved by that. It was so beautiful. And I thought, thank you. You just never know whose heart you're in, who's thinking of you. And that little bit of energy could have just gotten me through some of those days. I didn't know.
And those pancakes too, probably.
And those pancakes. And she just threw them in my bag. And I was so happy. And so thank you, like Seoul Market and anyone who listens to this podcast. It's at 43rd Avenue, just south of Dunlap. And it's just this little kind of tiny store that doesn't even look like it's open half the time. And it's a lovely family. And they have everything you'd need for Korean. And they're just beautiful people. And it just made me feel good again about people because I've been so jaded about this whole situation.
It's a nice foil to your Costco encounter with a meat guy.
Exactly. So different. And so that's all I wanted to say.
Does she have a knife as well?
She had no knife. She was just wearing a mask and cooking her pancakes.
Do the Koreans hug much?
I don't know.
Because I definitely would be into a culture that doesn't hug much. I'm not much of a hugger.
I don't think they're much of huggers.
Plus, I would imagine that she has an advantage since the Koreans have been masking up for like 15 years.
Right.
And I say that because Asia basically responded to, was it SARS? Yeah. They figured out that masking was a good thing, so they've been doing it for a lot longer than we have.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're probably better recognizing.
Right, and I didn't feel uncomfortable in there, and I didn't feel uncomfortable touching things, and there, like you kind of wonder.
Don't touch.
But I mean, I only touch what I purchase, but you know what I'm saying. But anyway, I just wanted to share that because I thought it just warmed my heart a bit, and I thought it was a very sweet story. And I'll probably go there after this and grab some stuff. And it's Korean.
Great. So we also want to talk about Twitter for some reason. Is Twitter important to you?
I don't know. I mean, I guess we can flesh out. We had talked about social media.
Maybe we should just flush it.
Flush it?
Yeah. You just flushed out, and I was thinking, I'll pick up on that and just flush the whole thing.
Okay.
No, please continue.
No.
You were at one point, you were a Twitter star.
After we talked last time about like social media, and we're like, we'll talk about it later. And one more thing. Well,
hang on. We didn't really talk about social media. I just went on and on about TikTok.
And then we talked about maybe talking about social media. Yeah. And so I thought we'd just come full circle. I used to be quite active on Twitter back in 2018. Mm-hmm. And then it just got scary. And then I just wrote this long like Twitter rant, and I opted out of Twitter.
You can't quit Twitter.
And I thought I deactivated my account, but evidently I didn't because I found my old password and I was able to get in.
I think it takes a lot to get out of the social media sites.
And my stuff was all there, and I'm like, no wonder people were coming at me. I'm like, I was all political. It was so rooted in that time. And I was really surprised by my candor and some of the anger and some of the stuff it's good that I got off. And so I spent probably a couple hours last night trying to reconnect with the platform. And I really couldn't remember how to use it. And I was on my Mac, and it was different.
A pretty simple interface. Well, it used to be simple interface. My complaints with Twitter. Well, so how many followers did you have
in
2018?
7,000.
Wow, like 3,000?
I don't know. I can't remember. I thought it seemed. Well, I'm down to like 1,000 and change right now, but I haven't been on the platform and I don't know why they're still following me.
Well, it's easier to follow than to unfollow.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not making any noise. The only people I unfollow are the people that are making noises that I don't like. So if you're not making any noises, I won't unfollow you.
Well, I think I'm going to unfollow everyone and start over again. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to follow Subbrand. I'm going to follow Patricia Arquette because I just love her. And I'm going to follow probably my friend Cheryl.
But that's Patricia Arquette, I mean, I know her as an actress.
She's an activist, too.
Okay,
I liked her.
I'm just a little bit skeptical. I mean, I don't want to use too broad a paintbrush here, but it strikes me that actors aren't necessarily the smartest group of people.
I don't care. I just like her.
Okay, that's fine. She's cute.
She's cute.
Oof.
She's
Love
cute.
That nose.
Very cute. So anyway, so I spent a good deal of my evening trying to remember how to use it. It was I used to do it on my iPhone, and I was now on the iMac, and everything looked different. It was funky. I couldn't quite, whatever. Then I started reading through stuff, and I'm like, God, I don't want to see all this old crap. And so I started untweeting all these retweets. I'm like, why the hell would I even retweet this? And it was weird. And then there were things that I wrote that I'm like, I got to delete this.
Oh, don't delete. You're deleting history.
I want to delete history.
I know, but I don't like that. I think if you write it, you should just leave it there. It's like if you write something down in a journal, people don't go back to their journals and tear out whole pages of their journals. Oh, well, Catherine raises her hands. Okay, some people want to rewrite history. That's fine.
Well, so I just like a fresh start. And I thought maybe I should just leave this alone and just start a new Twitter.
I don't know. I think it's good to reclaim your past. Accept who you were and accept who you are.
Right. Well, it wasn't super negative. It was just not where I'm at now. And I really don't want to spend a lot of time. It was so rooted in the political stuff at the time and the hashtag resistance and all that. And I'm just like, I'm so over that. And I'm sure Twitter is over it too. I don't know. I didn't really see what people were writing about.
Well, I'm glad you're not resisting anymore. That'll make my job a lot easier.
I was just so into that and just back and forth. And there was a lot of Twitter stuff.
So were you replying to individual people or just general trends?
I think just general trends.
Okay, that's better. Don't get into it with people on Twitter because first of all, unless you know who the people are, you don't know who the people are, and they're probably just not being the same people that they would be in real life. So
right.
You're dealing with a side of someone who doesn't really exist in the real world, only online.
Right. Anytime there's anonymity, people are less of who they really are and more of something else, either positive or negative, whatever. But I felt like that was the case with Twitter.
Yeah, it's well known that people are much more violent in their speech in the anonymity of Twitter.
Right. I found my last Twitter rant and I was just like, and then I ended my whole thing and I thought I deactivated, but it was out there. And I'm like, oh, wow. And I said all this.
I guess I should follow you.
Some of it is crazy. I did delete a lot of it. I just didn't want to see all that crap. I think I'm a minimalist. I'm a closet minimalist. I do like to clean stuff up. And I thought I just want to have like 2 people I'm following or 3. And I just want to like not see all this old shit. And I just want to like focus on what we're doing now and just focus on art and get away from some of the, that drama, that political, because it was so heavy and it was so negative. And,
yeah, but it's part of your past.
And a lot of the stuff that we were concerned about happened. I mean, January 6th happened and people were talking about it, losing democracy. And I was reading it and I was just pulled right back to 2018. And I'm glad I took a break for 3 years.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's all I wanted to say about Twitter. But what do you think of the platform? Tell me your thoughts, James.
It depends on how you use it. It can be very toxic. Everyone knows. I mean, I think everyone should know at this point that there are many rabbit holes which you can fall down, and the social media platforms want to actively push you down those rabbit holes because that means more engagement for them, right. Which means they get to show you more ads, which means they get more ad revenue. So they are, they're selling out American democracy and American stability for ad dollars. That's basically what it comes down to. Because study after study shows that people will engage with things online that make them angry more than things that make them happy.
Right. And that's probably why initially I had so many followers. It's like, and you're just in that mix and following all those with the hashtags and everything at the time. And I was, some of it was cool. I found some poetry that I had written, which was interesting, that I published down there.
Did you keep that or did you delete?
I did.
Oh, good.
The one that I found, there was one I think.
That doesn't really count. You have to have a couple before you really... Anyway, so my point being, if you engage with the platform on your terms, I engage with these platforms on my terms.
Right.
And so I follow a handful of people on Twitter. So that's the thing I don't understand with people following like 1,000 or 5,000 people. How can you see anything of what they put up there if you're following? You can never get through it.
Well, you don't.
I follow, I think, 20 people, and most of them are writers or artists or things that are of interest to me, but also carefully curated so that they're not stupid people.
Right. Exactly. So I was just going through and I'm just unfollowing a lot of the stuff, and some of the people I don't think were even active. I was just like intermittently going into their feed. They've changed their names, but their new names came up. Like I was following, and so everyone, and I'm still who I was.
I started a new account for Subrant, and I will say this: Twitter always finds a way to piss me off.
Okay. What happened with that? Because I subbed to that.
I was super happy when I went in to set up the account, and I typed in Subrant, and I was like, "There's no way I'm going to get Subrant. I'm sure that username has been taken." I didn't research it beforehand, but boom, I type it in. It's like, "Oh wow, that's going to be our username. That's amazing."
Good.
Which is different from your screen name. I don't know if I'm using the proper terminology, but you can change your screen name. You can change that to whatever you want, but the username at Subrant is the more important one. That's the one you can't change easily. You can change it, but not as easily. Well, it lied to me. It said, yeah, you can have Subrant. And then I set up the account, and I tried going to Subrant because I'm linking to it from our website, and it's not the right account. I was like, wait, this isn't my account that I just set up. What the hell is going on? So I go back into my account, and I see that even though it said, yeah, you can have that username, it gave me Rant Sub instead. Oh, so initially we were at Rant Sub. And what the hell is this? You up and lied to me about what the username was going to be. So I actually was able to change it to Subrant Podcast. So it's at Subrant Podcast.
Right.
But that just annoyed me so much. I mean, they basically just lied to me. It's like, no, you can have that username. No, I can't have that. You just flipped it around. That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then, of course, on a daily basis, they are trying desperately to get me to follow topics. I only follow people. I don't want to follow your damn topics. But they just throw the most... I don't know if initially they were trying to figure out what I was interested in, and maybe initially, 6 months ago, they were actually showing me trends or topics that I might want to follow. But now they're just throwing me every topic they have in the books, like Hollywood or actors or a specific actor or comedy or all the stuff that I have absolutely zero interest in.
I saw that last night. I don't recall that from before.
Yeah, it's new. It's always changing. They're always finding new ways to annoy you.
Oh my God. Yeah. So
it's a frustrating interface because they're just trying to shove more crap down my throat. I just want to see the tweets from the people that I'm following. I don't want to see the likes of the people I'm following. I just want to see their tweets.
Right.
I'm constantly having to tell Twitter, no, I'm not interested in this tweet. Show me fewer likes from Sarah Cooper, for instance. I don't want to see her likes. I just want to see her tweets. I don't care what she's interested in.
I followed her. I'll probably continue following her.
I'm just interested in her tweets. She had a great tweet the other day about something like, there are 2 things you need to know about me. 1 is I spend all my days cooking vegan meals at home. And 2, I'm a liar. She said it better than me, obviously.
I love it.
She's a professional.
She is a professional. I'm evidently not a poet, but I found a poem.
I feel like I just ranted a little bit about Twitter. Do you want to share your Twitter poetry with us?
I'll share my Twitter poetry just in the Wayback Machine.
Do you mind? Yeah.
Okay, this is in response to an Associated Press article on 10/2/18. This says the Trump administration moves to weaken U.S. radiation rules. Says a bit of radiation may be good for you.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah, okay. So I wrote this poem, and my poetry is never well thought out.
We have a nuclear plant here. We can probably go get some.
Oh my God! Don't even start me on that. That is like
Indian Point. What's wrong with Indian Point?
Indian Point.
Isn't it Indian Point?
Palo Verde.
Whatever. Just because I don't know what.
Same thing.
Okay,
oh my God.
Fair point.
My God. No, that's just. That's always been a fear of mine. I think we're in the zone of. I think you are too here.
No. What, the Motorola zone?
No, the zone of like evacuation.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, we're all in the evacuation zone.
I'm not going anywhere.
I need a to-go bag. But anyway, so I was responding to this.
It's not a to-go bag. It's a go bag.
Oh, to-go bag. I'm sorry. That's hilarious.
Oh, my God.
I'm like...
Do we need to prep you?
We need to do more coffee.
Maybe we should talk about prepping on this show.
Prepping?
Yeah, prepping our artwork to get it out of here. I'm sorry. Read your
poem.
Let me
read my poem.
Read your poem.
In response to that article about the Trump administration moving to weaken radiation rules.
Guidelines, right.
I just sat down, and it's always off the cuff. It doesn't rhyme. It doesn't make sense. I'm just saying.
No preamble. No preamble. Just get into it.
Okay. So the title of the poem is Different Day, New BS, a radiation poem. Flip the script. What isn't is. Up is down is up, news says. Yet, some will profit, some won't live, because radiation exposure is cumulative. Just saying.
Yeah, that's great. Wow.
Twitter poetry, folks.
I don't know if you're familiar with the show Orville. It was a oddly conceived show by, what's it name? McFarlane, the guy who did Family Guy and a bunch of other really popular shows. I like him. I don't like Family Guy, but I do like American Dad, which is another. And I don't want to get too far down it. On one of the episodes, they have this idiot who tries to write poetry. I'm not saying idiot in reference to your poetry. I'm just saying that it was interesting that this guy, he wrote a really bad poem. And he read it to a woman, and the woman's like, and he's desperately asking this person to give him honest feedback. Right. And so when she eventually gives him honest feedback and eviscerates the poem because it was terrible, he's like, oh man, that was really bad. You're a bad person for saying that. And then he reads the poem to a really dumb guy, and the guy's like, oh my God, that just changed my life. I really needed to hear that.
See, it's all in the communication occurs in the receiver.
Art is in the eye of the beholder.
Correct.
No, come on. See, this is one of the main falsities of art.
Oh no, here we go.
There is an objective nature to art. There is objectively good art and there's no bad art. If it's quote bad art, it's just not art.
Right. So there's bad poetry, or it's just not poetry.
I am not capable or competent to make judgments on poetry. I know my limitations, and I don't understand music, and I don't understand art. I mean, art.
You understand
poetry.
art.
I understand art. I don't understand poetry. Though I do question whether I understand art, because I read Art News and Colossus, and I look at art every week. And I'm still just totally dumbfounded by the people that get shows and the work that's hung in galleries. It just seems like the same crap over and over again, and I just don't understand how this stuff rises to the top.
I don't understand a lot of that. I think what we need to do moving forward, since we talk about art, I would like to have local artists talk, and we know them.
Yeah, we on Heatstroke we had Tim Johnson, who's a local painter. It was a great conversation.
Good. Yeah, we need some of that.
He actually, I showed him at Meditative Art Gallery before we shut it down.
Oh God, I miss that space.
That was a great space.
It was a great space.
Yes, in my continuing effort to time my life perfectly, I opened a gallery in January of 2020 and closed it in March of 2020.
Right.
So maybe not the shortest lived gallery in the world. You may be able to find galleries that had shorter lives than that, but that's pretty short.
That was pretty short, yeah. When we were working on that, before I knew you, like in October, November, December, and it was just, I thought, it had such potential. It was such a diamond in the rough, and I was so happy when you came on board. It was just so fun, and then you took over, and I was so happy, and I was...
You're happy when I take over?
I was really happy.
I come in and take over your shit?
Well, I was not equipped. You had the background, and I didn't have the energy, psychic or otherwise, to put into that, or the background. And so it was really disappointing. It was really disappointing that space had to go away.
Close so quickly.
Mm-hmm. So, and that's why I wonder, like a lot of the other, I've not been up and down Roosevelt Road to see what else is there, what's left of the arts district. I'm sure a lot of people moved on, or things have changed hands.
No, it's always hard to have an art space, especially down here. It's really weird. Phoenix, when I moved to Houston, I got involved in the art community really quickly, and I just got engaged very easily and very quickly, and I started knowing people and knowing the galleries. Even to this day, even after I've been here 10 years and I had a gallery for 3 months, I still don't feel like I know anything about the art world here. It seems like it's a much harder place to get rooted into. I don't know if it's me or if it's just something different about it. I think part of it is that the first Fridays seem kind of half-assed to me. We had a similar thing in Houston, but we only did it once a year. We did the art crawl once a year, and we had the trolleys, and the trolleys went not all over town, but pretty far. And they were very consistent. It was like if you were on the map, you were on the map.
Right.
And you could get a trolley. It doesn't seem like it works that way here. I've been out to First Friday several times where trolleys were supposed to go to certain places and never showed up, so it was kind of hard to get around. Well,
we were on the map when we started with Meditative Arts, and Melinda and I went to several meetings to, ArtLink. And not to slam them or anything. They were very gracious. They had a nice space. I don't know if it still even exists over at the old Park Central Mall off on Central.
Yeah, there's ArtLink is still there.
Okay, they're still there. And so they had good meetings, and they were planning for Detour, for that March, for the Art Detour in 2020. And we were in the planning thing. I mean, we went to every meeting. I even went to a meeting one time with Donna, and they'd canceled the meeting. We didn't know. So we were there even when they didn't have a meeting. They were so committed. And they had us on the map, and we thought, I don't think the trolley ever stopped in front of Meditative Arts.
There was misunderstanding and miscommunication about whether or not the Meditative Arts was supposed to be on the trolley stop or not.
But we were on the map.
And the idea that we couldn't even figure that out or get clarity on that was kind of a sign that maybe things were a little bit, not rotten. Rotten's too strong a word, but maybe less optimized or less organized.
Right, it was less organized. Right, because I thought, the placement of the studio was interesting because it was in quite a residential area, like a commercial space, kind of in this mixed use area.
Right.
But we were at the end of Roosevelt Row and the beginning of Grand. We would, we were in between,
we're on the way to Grand.
We were on the way to Grand. We could have been the first stop. And when they did the Grand Festival, or whatever the hell that was, no one came to the studio that night. I stayed with Melinda all night. They were marketing us as the first studio on the Grand.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, we were the last studio on Roosevelt Row. But irrespective of that, if we were right between, someone could have stopped. I even was on the trolley one time with Melinda, and I'm like, oh, are we going to stop at Meditative Arts? And the guy begrudgingly stopped.
Guerrilla marketing.
I'm like, I heard this was like really fantastic. Like, this is a great space. It's a 100-year-old building. It's gorgeous. I'm just like doing this whole thing. Melinda's like, well, oh God, I can't believe we're doing this. And so, and the three of us got off. I was with Melinda and another gal, and that was it. And I tried everything, including making a spectacle of myself on the damn trolley.
I love that.
And forcing them to stop. And
I mean,
it didn't work.
I think if we'd stayed, we would eventually work that out. But I also wasn't, I don't want to turn this into a ArtLink bash, but I was very deeply unimpressed with their response to COVID. They never really canceled Art Detour. And they did kind of.
Right.
But it took them a really long time, and they tried to come up with these, virtual events, which I think were just kind of lame. But they should have, been way more proactive, like in February.
Right.
To say, okay, well, we have to cancel this. People are not going to. But I'm pretty sure they still had open galleries.
I don't know, because by that time
I was closed. We were closed. We were not doing any of this stuff. Forget about it. We some of us were able to read the news and see what was happening and decide that this kind of ArtLink thing is a perfect storm to avoid.
Well, right. And particularly when we had First Fridays and that one episode that we had with the home tour, the FQ Story home tour, there were moments where it was like no one was in the studio.
Oh, yeah.
But there were moments when it was super crowded.
Right.
And by the grace of God, I remember at one point, and people coming in, and it was just a crush in that studio.
Mm-hmm.
That one, you remember, we were there for 3 days. I remember thinking at one point, I wish I had a mask on.
Yeah.
Even before COVID, like no one had COVID on the map. That was like, December?
Well, it was coming in. Yeah. Well, December. Was that December?
It was December.
Okay.
December
that would have been a little bit early.
It was a little bit early, but
January,
I was thinking flu.
We knew this in mid-January that
Right.
things were happening, and by February, middle of February, it was clear that steps needed to be taken. And that's when I realized that I was going to have to close the gallery, or at least temporarily. I didn't realize it was going to be permanently, but I knew I was going to have to do. I knew Art Detour was not going to happen at our gallery.
No, and I remember talking to you about it. I'm like, no, I would definitely shutter. There would be no way in hell in that building. It was just too.
It was irresponsible.
It was irresponsible.
Yeah.
And you have anybody that, it's irresponsible. You can't protect the artist. You can't protect the consumer. I don't know. It was just.
Who knows how many cases came from Art Detour?
I don't know. I don't know.
Probably more
I know
than zero.
I canceled my trip down to Tucson that year because I usually go down for the Gem and Mineral Show. And it's usually like a big thing.
Right.
Like we go down and stay for a couple days. And it was all arranged with a couple friends. And I'm like, I don't know. And so I'm buying gloves. I didn't even think of masks at that time. I thought I'll buy gloves because I really don't want to touch anything. And then I'm like, no, I probably should wear masks. Would that be over the top? And it was early February. No one was really doing that. And then I thought.
I know, but now, of course, it's hard to go maskless.
Right. And
you're going to have to pry my mask off of my cold, dead corpse.
Oh, outside?
No, I don't wear it. I've never worn a mask outside, but going into stores, I'm always going to wear a mask.
I'm always going to wear a mask. Yeah, always. But I canceled. And
I keep looking for the guy with the knife.
Oh, God.
But
well, the feedback I got from friends who've listened, they're like, the Costco guy that was
just to recap. about a month ago, I guess it was, Catherine went into a Costco with a mask on, and this was the point where Costco no longer had the mask mandate, and maybe 20-25% of the people weren't wearing masks, and this weird Arizonan guy with a knife strapped to his thigh and a basket full of meat came up to you and started harassing you basically for wearing a mask.
He did. And he said that I looked odd. He said, you look funny. You have a funny look in your face, the part that I can see. And that's when I knew. I just had to get, I'm like, seriously. It was my first time out of the house.
Right.
I can't even reiterate that enough.
I just want to get the listeners.
So that didn't happen this time. I went alone, and then I had that nice interaction at Soul Market. And so I'm over it. But no one was wearing masks at Costco. It was me and some other person. I mean, there was the percentage of vaccination in Maricopa County. It's astonishing because you know that they're not fully vaccinated. If there's like 100 people in Costco.
No, but Maricopa County certainly has made an effort to get people
they're
vaccinated.
making it. I wish we'd make a bigger effort.
Oh, no, I think the effort is there. I just think there are the recipient. It's not on the government. It's the government of Maricopa County has not failed to offer vaccines.
No, they have not.
It's the residents that have failed to take them up on that offer.
Yes.
And it's not completely failure. I think we're doing better than some, not as well as we would like to. But.
Right. I just wish we would do better.
So we really are not very good at talking about social media because last week I just went on and on about TikTok, and this week we just talked about Twitter. There are a lot more medias out there to talk about, but I guess we probably should save that for next week.
We could save it for next week.
We'll do one social media site a week.
That's what I'm thinking because now I have to dabble. And I had an Instagram account for like a minute. And
that's a good one to talk about. I know Instagram well.
Oh, I need some help. And I'm going to re-engage.
Yeah,
with
I'm off. I used to be a huge Instagram.
Okay, tell me about Instagram. Let's just talk about it.
No. We'll do it next time. Just a little teaser. It's like I used to be an addict and now I'm not. And almost entirely this is on Instagram. Instagram pushed me away.
Oh, Twitter pushed me away. As I was reading through my old stuff, I thought I was doing this way too much. And I wonder what I didn't do when I was doing all this.
So next week we can talk about Instagram.
We'll talk about Instagram.
And art.
And art.
And Phoenix.
And Phoenix.
Thanks, Catherine.
Thank you, James.